I call this meeting to order. Committee members, as I call your name, please verify your presence. James Boscario, Valentina Bernoni, Vince Marcotte, Maria Ferraro.
Present.
Ryan Tufts, Planning Technician and Secretary Treasurer of the Committee of Adjustment.
Present.
And I'm your Chair, Teresa Nicodemo. Land Acknowledgement Statement. We acknowledge that the ground on which we live is in the traditional territory of Caldwell First Nation, of the Three Fires Confederacy, and the original people of Point Pelee and Pelee Island and its surrounding lands and waters, and that of the Huron, Wendat, and Wyandot peoples. We recognize and respect the First Nations, who are stewards of the land and waters of Turtle Island, and who have embraced the stewardship since time immemorial. We would also like to acknowledge the contributions of other nearby First Nation communities and all original people across Turtle Island. And the appeal notice. As a result of provincial changes to the Planning Act, only the applicant and select agencies may appeal a decision of the committee or one or more of the conditions which were imposed. Third-party appeals or consent third-party appeals of consent and or minor variances such as neighbors, abutting property owners are no longer allowed to be accepted by the OLT. All applications continue to be subject to a 20-day appeal period, a written request to receive a copy of the decision, and the fee for filing an appeal may be obtained from the Secretary Treasurer, Mr. Ryan Tufts. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interests? See none, so noted. We'd like to adopt the minutes of the June 21st, 2023 meeting. Is there a motion? Moved by Valentina, second by James Boscario. All in favor? That is carried. Mr. Tufts, are there any questions for deferral or referral of any applications?
None received.
Thank you. The first application for consideration tonight is B-07-2023, file 4163. The owners are Gerald and Annette Messier. The address is 6040 Matchett Road, and is a consent to create a lot addition at 6050 Matchett Road. Mr. Tufts, please make a presentation on the variance application.
Okay, so we have a consent for a lot addition at 6044 Matchett Road to 6050 Matchett Road. The subject lands are currently zoned Residential 1 in the town's zoning bylaw and designated residential district in the town's official plan. The proposed lot addition is approximately 4 meters by 16 meters, and it will be joined to the property to the south at 6050. This lot addition will correct an irregular lot line and will create a straight fence line between two neighbors. If this application is approved, we would require they provide us with a survey and an undertaking that the consolidation will happen from the lot addition.
Thank you. Mr. Walter Langlois is the agent. You may now speak to the matter. Please introduce yourself and a brief explanation of your application, and please confirm you have read and understood the staff report. Mr. Langlois, yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. Yes, I have read all of the application, and I understand what's going on. This is simply a correction of a really bad fence line between me and my neighbor. And he has a very, very large lot that he's not using, so that's all we're up to at the present time.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody present or online that would like to speak to the application? Okay, none received. Okay. And does the committee have any questions for Mr. Langlois? Okay, none. And does the committee have any questions for administration? Having heard any comments or concerns made by administration, agencies, and the public, is the committee ready to make a decision? Okay, so moved by Vince Marcotte, seconded by Maria Ferraro. All in favor? And that is carried. Thank you, Mr. Langlois. Thank you. Item is B-08-2023 file 4164. The owner is Renato Roda, address 6800 Matchett. Application for consent to create one new lot. Mr. Tufts to make a presentation on the severance application.
Okay, we have consent to create one new lot at 6800 Matchett Road. The land is currently zoned Residential 1 and designated residential district in the town's official plan. This is a sketch that was provided from the applicant, and it shows the severed and the retained lands. The lot creation will facilitate the construction of a single-family dwelling and a semi-detached dwelling, and is an efficient use of existing services and is considered an infill development. The proposed lots comply with the provisions of the zoning bylaw, and no concurrent minor variance applications or rezonings are required. Should the application be approved, we would require a survey, that they obtain a building permit to demolish the existing home at 6800 Matchett Road, that all property taxes are paid, that they pay a cash in lieu of parkland dedication of $750 per lot, that they submit lot grading and servicing plans for the new lots, that they obtain a right-of-way permit from the town's Public Works Department, they install proper sanitary and storm and water connections for the lots, they confirm there's adequate utilities for the proposed lots, they submit as-built for the work that's being done, and they provide us with a financial security to the satisfaction of the town's Public Works Department.
Renato Roda, the owner, you may now speak to the matter. Please introduce yourself and a brief explanation of your application. And please confirm you have read and understood the staff report.
Hi, good evening. I'm Renato Roda from 68 Matchett. Obviously, I concur with all of the regulations set forth in trying to create this new lot. Other than that, I really have nothing else to add. Mr. Tufts did a good job explaining exactly what we want to do. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody present or online that would like to speak to the application? Yes, the person in the back. You may come up.
Hi, my name is Jeff Sumner. I'm the owner of 6810 Matchett Road. I moved out here to LaSalle to have a woodlot behind me. That was one of the selling things of my house. Now I see this pie-shaped lot that you couldn't build on is now buildable. I just spent $50,000 on a vinyl fence and left 20 feet open of chain link fence, brand new. And now I'm gonna have a building behind my, now I get to look at a building behind my, I'm concerned to what the depth of this house is. That's my main concern, is the depth, how far back he's coming into the pie-shaped lot, and if I'm gonna sit at my back door and look at a building now instead of nature. That's my concern. That's all I have to say.
Yes, thank you. Does the committee have the answer for, would you like to speak to that, Mr. Tufts? Yes.
Through you, Madam Chair. So there are regulations in the town's zoning bylaw that require a minimum 7.5 meter rear yard setback, so 25 feet. So there was a consolidation of an alley and the property in the back, so they've now become one large lot. With the 25-foot rear yard setback, there would not be any homes constructed in that portion. That would be what's creating the building envelope. So he needs to be at least 25 feet from the back and 25 from the front and 5 on the sides.
Okay, I just need to know. Do I have to repeat that? I just want to know what the depth is. I don't understand. I understand the 25 feet, but if he's got 50 feet, that leaves 25 feet that I'm going to be looking at. That's my concern.
We don't have the detailed drawings for what's being proposed, so just turn your mic off. So we just have what's in the zoning bylaw. So he has to be the minimum. So the 25 feet is the minimum setback he needs to be from the rear lot line. If Mr. Rhoda does have some sketches, he could come up and share them with us, but at this time, I have not seen any designs for what home is being constructed on the property. This is this is a severance for the land, not on setbacks. So he's not requesting a variance to the rear yard setback.
Okay, but I've already spoken with Mr. Rhoda. I've met him. We've discussed, I've hooked him up with my tree guy to cut some trees for him on Major Avenue. He told me he was living there. I just heard him tell this guy he's building a house in Amherstburg for himself, and that he didn't know what he was building. Now, all of a sudden, obviously, he was lying to me because I'm sure this duplex didn't just pop up like in the last month. I'm sure the plans were in stage for what was being built. I don't understand why a neighbor has no input in this. That's just crazy. I guess I have the option to move if this affects me, I guess.
Yes, committee have any questions of either the neighbor, I'm sorry, Jeff, I forget your last name, excuse me, or Mr. Rhoda, any questions? Yes, Valerie?
Chair, can I ask a question? Okay, I just want to understand, your concern is that they're going to be building closer to your rear lot line?
Sorry, feeding deer and storing my wood back there and stuff. Now, I just don't know how far he's going back, and that's, like I said, that's my concern. I don't want to sit on my back, against my back of my house and look out at a building in my backyard now.
But he's not changing your rear lot line by proposing these two.
I understand that, but this is, when I bought that house, that wasn't developmental land. Now that Doug Ford passed this thing, let's build 3 billion houses in a month, I have no rights to appeal nothing. As long as he gets a biologist to survey the land, there could be snakes, whatever, I don't know, but I just feel like there's no right for me, and I'm just really concerned about my view. What am I looking at now? I just spent 50 grand on a house to make it look better. I've had many citizens of LaSalle come to me and ask me, that's a beautiful house, beautiful fence, where'd you get it? So I'm not some schmuck that isn't doing nothing to beautify the town. I spent $100,000 since I bought the house for $455,000. I put $100,000 into it. Now to look at a building, I'll be leaving.
When they proposed the new zoning bylaw, was that land that's in front of us right now, was that rezoned to allow residential, or was it always been the same zoning?
The zoning has not changed. There's an existing home on there, so the zoning is not changing. and
So when
did
the
not
new
change.
bylaw came out, it did not change the bylaw,
No.
the zoning designation. So it was always residential.
Yes, it's always been residential, and it was residential in the town's official plan as well.
No, because I was thinking if it was changed, then the gentleman did have a chance to come forward and voice his opinion on the new zoning change, correct?
If there was a rezoning, then he
Yes.
would have been notified, but there was
Right.
not a rezoning.
Okay. So it wasn't rezoned to allow these single-family or a semi-detached. So the
Okay.
zoning was always there. It always allowed for these residential dwelling units.
So you're telling me that all the woodlot behind my house, 35 lots that are owned by Valente Realty, 5 lots that's the guy next door to me on Lafford, he owns behind him, they can all build houses there now? Is that what you're telling me?
No, they have to follow.
Well, they're zoned, you just said they're zoned residential, are they not?
They have to follow procedure. If it's, let's say, rural, then they would have to go for rezoning, and then you will be notified, or whatever the radius is of the residents to be notified. So you will have a chance to speak and voice your opinion on a rezoning.
Okay, well, why would it be rezoned? His pie-shaped lot didn't have to be rezoned. Why would the guy next to him have to be rezoned? It's residential now. Why wouldn't it be residential? Why would he have to rezone it? If he's already wants residential, he's gonna build a house there. I don't understand what you're saying.
I don't know.
Yes, Gudrun, you have a question?
Go over here. Oh, there we go. Sorry about that. Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you, I think it's important for the committee to perhaps remember that the application that we're considering at this moment is an application to sever an existing lot. So the lot is in existence, it's zoned to permit the severance. It is consistent with our official plan, consistent with the direction of the official plan, consistent with the zoning bylaw that we have in place adopted by council. And really, those are the tests that we need to evaluate the decision. So the application before you currently is consistent with those two documents. And any building permit application that comes through the municipality will be vetted against the provisions of the zoning bylaw. So the application that's being requested is consistent with the zoning that's in place at the time. And when the building permit application comes forward, it will also have to be consistent with the zoning.
Thank you. Vince? Yes.
I'm sorry, have you ever owned or tried to buy the property behind your house? No, okay.
No, I haven't. I'm in the process of buying the 6 feet of alley, but I'm like 30th in line, I guess, so.
Okay.
I don't have the $9,000 to spend on it myself. I've already put it all in my house.
No, just, that'll be it for now, then I'll make some comments after. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Any other questions of administration? Sir, it could. Administration? Yes, Vince?
Anything in the sewer area, which this is in, is going to be subject to residential applications at any time. That's where the sewers are, that's where the homes will be built. And unfortunately, a lot of people have come to us in the past. I've got this beautiful woodlot behind me. Instead of being really happy having had the woodlot, they're upset now that somebody's building a house. So this is really nothing unique in this area. The only thing I do have a question on, right, is, which I wasn't thinking of before the other gentleman came forward, he's got that same little loop in the back of his yard, which could cause although it seems to be where the alley is there any chance of straightening that out now before it comes back to us? Not that it would or wouldn't, but it's the same, yeah. It's the same thing on the other application.
So that jog in the property line is past, so the alley, and then that would be past the alley. So it wouldn't give an opportunity for Mr. Somner to purchase it. That property would abut a property that fronts onto a street to the south. So it does create a straight lot line with that neighbor.
It's not in front of us, but it's, you can just see it as a problem. If it was a problem for the other applicant, could be a problem here at some point. And I realize it's backing on town property as well, if that's the alley still owned.
I'm not sure offhand, but I believe the property to the east of this is owned by the town.
That's going from Lafferty north.
Well, that would be Huron and Matchett. So it would be the property on Huron's east of this consolidated property on Matchett.
Huron or Lafferty? Here's the alley.
Can I address the little jog thing that you were just talking about?
Well, as Mr. Tufts have explained, it's not on your property, it just affects the alley. So I don't believe you, like as Mr. Tufts had said, no, it's not possible. But sir, you know, we appreciate you coming here, we appreciate your concern. It could be that having a new build near you could be a good thing. It'll enhance your property, bring your property value up. It could be a good thing. But right now we have to vote. So having heard any comments or concerns made by administration, agencies, and the public, is the committee ready to make a decision? And is there a motion? Moved by Maria, seconded by Vince, and all in favor. And that has been carried. So thank you very much. Thank you very much. The third item is B-092023 file 4165. The owners Phil and Pam Bezier and Sarah Hutchinson, and the address is 2807 Front Road. The application for consent to sever surplus farm dwelling. Mr. Tufts, to make a presentation on the severance application.
Okay, so we have a consent application to sever the surplus farm dwelling. Subject lands are currently zoned agricultural, and agricultural in the town's official plan, or yes. So it's hard to see in this diagram, but the severed portion fronts on Front Road, and it would be equal in size to the property to the north. So this is a zoomed in shot of what's being proposed. So it's 125 feet on Front Road and 200 feet to the south and 320 to the north. So again, they're currently zoned agricultural. If this is approved, the applicant would be required to rezone the retained lands to a site-specific agricultural zone that would prohibit the construction of any buildings or structures, and rezone the severed lands to a rural residential zone to recognize the rural residents being maintained. Should it be approved, we have the following conditions: that they provide a survey, they enter into a severance agreement with the town, they provide a septic evaluation to the chief building official, they submit lot grading sheets for the severed lands and lot grading, and they obtain a zoning bylaw amendment that shall apply to the retained lands to prohibit the construction of any buildings or structures and rezone the severed lands to a rural residential zone.
Thank you. Phil Bezier, owner, you may now speak to the matter. Please introduce yourself and a brief explanation of your application, and please confirm you have read and understood the staff report.
Okay, so my name's Phil Bezier. Good afternoon. I've read I've read the conditions and I understand them. The dwelling is surplus to us. We purchased the property in 2010. We've been renting it to tenants since then, but we prefer to have the residential building in the lot that it sits on severed from the farm property itself. The rest is pretty self-explanatory, I think.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody present or online who would like to speak to the application? Don't see any. And does the committee members have any questions for Mr. Becerra? And any questions for administration? Maria? Or-
Just so I understand, the time requirements to meet all conditions is 2 years. So what happens if the conditions are not satisfied within the 2 years?
If they can't meet it in the 2 years, they could apply for an extension.
Oh, okay. So the application wouldn't automatically be voided. They can apply for an extension.
Correct, but
And,
2 years would be more than enough time to obtain the rezoning.
Okay, thank you.
Right, at the end of the day, if we go to the picture with that has severed on it, so I think I must have misread the address as well. What exactly, at 2799, is there a home there?
There is an existing home at 2799, but that's not part of this application. That's completely separate.
Okay, that's all, so that is there now, it's existing now, was not part of the property that Mr. Becerra bought.
Correct.
And there is nothing to the left, when I'm looking at there's nothing to the left of that in the property that he bought.
There's nothing to the north of 2799.
And going to the south is going to be that severed parcel of land,
Correct.
and that severed parcel of land is that wooden.
Correct.
And there is no property, there's no building on that whole piece of land all the way back.
That's correct. No new dwellings will be permitted there.
And is the severed parcel, what's the purpose of the severed parcel?
The severed parcel is where there's an existing home. So that is what's being severed off of the farm.
But they'll still say a home.
Correct.
Okay, all right. Okay, I'm good.
Okay, we're good? Okay. All right, so having heard any comments or concerns made by administration, agencies, and the public, is committee ready to make a decision? And is there a motion? Moved by Val, seconded by Jim. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you, Mr. Becerra, thank you. The next committee meeting is August 16, 2023. Is there a motion to adjourn? Moved by Vince, seconded by Maria, and all in favor. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming in. The meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.